Agong advises MPs to fully support 2021 budget. 801 new COVID-19 cases and 8 deaths registered today. Welcome to News at 10. I'm Brendan Lepore. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Rayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah advised all members of Parliament MPs to fully support Budget 2021 to ensure the well-being of the people and the recovery of the country's economy, which has been affected by COVID-19. In a statement today, Comptroller of the Royal Household, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, said His Majesty stressed that it was very important for the government and the authorities, especially the frontliners, to continue implementing policies and making efforts to curb the threats of the pandemic. Al-Sultan Abdullah also called on the MPs to heed the royal advice to immediately stop the politicking and to give priority to the people's well-being so that the Budget 2021 could be passed without any disruption. His Majesty also reminded the MPs that engaging themselves in political disputes for personal interests will only bring harm to the country and the people, especially when the country is still struggling to face the threats of COVID-19. The statement was issued by Istana Negara after Al-Sultan Abdullah granted an audience to Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin for their weekly pre-cabinet meeting at Istana Negara today. Dato' Ahmad Fadil said the King expressed his hopes that Budget 2021 will stress on the economic recovery and the well-being and sustainability of the livelihoods of the people who were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. His Majesty also has full trust in the ability of the Prime Minister to lead the country at a time it is being tested by various crises. 801 new COVID-19 infections in Malaysia were registered as of noon today, taking the cumulative cases in the country to 29,441 cases. The number of active cases in the country now stands at 10,123. 573 new individuals have registered in the last 24 hours, making the recovery rate in Malaysia 64.78% of total cases, or 19,072 cases. 8 new death cases related to COVID-19 were also reported, rising the total fatalities in the country to 246 cases. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said 4 new clusters of COVID-19 detected today, namely Srigaya, Green Hill, Idaman and Bayu clusters. He said the clusters were identified in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Johor, Sabah and Sarawak. The Srigaya cluster was detected in Kota Kinabalu and Tuaran, with the index case tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. Close contact screenings reveal another 16 positive cases. All of them were admitted to Queen Elizabeth Hospital.
Kluster kedua ialah kluster Green Hill. Kluster baru ini dilaporkan di daerah Kuching dan Miri di negeri Sarawak. Kes indeks bagi kluster ini iaitu kes ke 27,786 telah dikenal pasti positif COVID-19 hasil saringan individu bergejala pada 25 Oktober 2020. Saringan kontak rapat telah mengesan sebanyak 24 lagi kes positif COVID-19. Kesemua kes telah dimasukkan ke Hospital Umum Sarawak dan Hospital Miri.
He said the Idaman cluster was identified in Petaling, Gombak, Titiwangsa and Cheras, with the index case tested positive yesterday. He added that 481 individuals have been screened so far, 11 tested positive and 300 turned out negative, while 170 test results are still pending. The Bayu cluster, meanwhile, was detected in Johor Bahru and Muar, with 184 individuals screened so far. 8 positive cases have been reported, 60 individuals were tested negative, and the rest are still awaiting for the test results. The Enhanced Movement Control Order (EMCO) will be imposed on 3 localities in Kudat, Sabah, beginning 3rd of October to 12 November. According to Senior Minister Security Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, the EMCO on Kampung Penggaraban, Kampung Tanjung Kapur and Kampung Landung Ayang was made, following a rise in COVID-19 cases in the areas.
PKPD bagi ketiga-tiga lokaliti ini merangkumi sebanyak 2,393 unit rumah yang melibatkan seramai 13,884 orang penduduk. SOP PKPD di ketiga-tiga lokaliti ini samalah dengan SOP PKPD lain yang saya umumkan, seperti tidak boleh keluar rumah, tidak boleh keluar kawasan kecuali kecemasan, semua aktiviti ekonomi diberhentikan, tidak dibenarkan, aktiviti sosial, agama, lain-lain juga tidak dibenarkan, majlis-majlis tidak dibenarkan. Cuma kedai runcit seperti biasa kita benarkan beroperasi dari jam 6 pagi hingga 6 petang bagi memberi peluang kepada penduduk membeli barangan keperluan asas.
He explained that no economic and social activities will be allowed and the residents are prohibited from leaving the EMCO areas except for emergencies. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also said that the Conditional Movement Control Order CMCO in Labuan will be extended for another 2 weeks beginning the 31st of October to 13th November. The senior minister said the decision was made due to the continuous rise in positive cases in the Federal Territory.
KKM masih meneruskan saringan secara bersasar kepada penduduk di Labuan dan sehingga kini masih terdapat peningkatan kes positif yang dikesan di kalangan penduduk wilayah Persekutuan Labuan. Oleh itu, sidang khas hari ini di atas nasihat Kementerian Kesihatan bersetuju untuk melanjutkan lagi tempoh PKPB di wilayah Persekutuan Labuan selama 14 hari lagi bermula 31 Oktober 2020 sehingga 13 November 2020.
Meanwhile, a total of 508 individuals were nabbed by the police yesterday for violating the Recovery Movement Control Orders SOP. According to Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri, 501 individuals were compounded, 6 were remanded while another person was released on bail. He also stated that among the most committed offences was not wearing face masks in public areas, involving 160 cases.
Senarai 3 negeri paling tinggi untuk individu di kompaun atas kesalahan engkar arahan PKPP adalah wilayah Persekutuan sebanyak 192, Selangor seramai 155 individu serta Sabah 36 individu. Task Force Operasi Pematuhan akan terus mempertingkatkan kawalan bagi menguatkuasakan arahan SOP pematuhan SOP PKPP ini dan akan terus mengambil tindakan bukan sahaja terhadap individu tetapi juga terhadap premis-premis perniagaan yang berkaitan.
The senior minister added that a total of 18 illegal migrants were detained yesterday in Benteng. 2 senior officers of the Malaysian Armed Forces ATM faced more charges today at the Shah Alam Sessions Court in connection with the awarding of the Defence Ministry's projects after each of them was charged with 5 counts of corruption relating to the same projects at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions yesterday. However, both of the accused, Colonel Che Ahmad Idris, 54, and Brigadier General Muhammad Faisal Anwar Ayub, 50, pleaded not guilty to the charges, which were read separately before Judge Yang Zaimi Yang Ghazali. Che Ahmad, who was the then head of Strategic Cyber Warfare Branch, Defence Intelligence Staff Division, was accused of receiving a bribe of 25,000 ringgit from FEHM entity Sendirian Berhad Managing Director Ilyas Jamadi Tajuddin in return for appointing the company to provide maintenance service at the division. Meanwhile, Muhammad Faisal was charged with soliciting and agreeing to accept 150,000 ringgit as an inducement to help submit a letter of intent from FEHM entity to the Defence Minister to be a strategic partner and contractor for maintenance of intelligence equipment at the same division. Both of them were charged under Section 16, Subsection A, Subsection B of the MACC Act. They are facing imprisonment for up to 20 years and fined of not less than 5 times the amount of the gratification or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher if convicted. The court allowed Sheikh Ahmad and Mohammad Faisal Anwar to be released on bail of 15,000 ringgit and 10,000 ringgit respectively and set the 30th of November for mention. Kelantan Police seized more than 2.4 kilograms of various drugs with an estimated value of 250,000 ringgit in 2 raids in Kampung Ketereh and Kubang Kerian yesterday. Kelantan Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department and CID Chief ACP Sheikh Azhar Sheikh Omar said during the 9:15 p.m. raid at a house in Kampung Ketereh, police had also seized 18,000 psychotropic pills, 500 grams of shabu and 5 bottles of heroin weighing 24 grams. ACP Sheikh Azhar Sheikh Omar said a 52-year-old man who was in the house was also arrested in the raid carried out upon receiving public information related to drug trafficking. He said police also confiscated 4,599 ringgit in cash as well as a vehicle with the overall value of the confiscation was near 41,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, in an earlier raid at 5 p.m. at a house in Kubang Kerian, police also seized 101.28 gram of shabu worth 10,128 ringgit and arrested a 27-year-old man. He said a motorcycle worth 8,000 ringgit and 3,500 ringgit in cash was also confiscated.
Kedua-dua lelaki tersebut pada pagi ini telah diriman di mahkamah dan pihak magistrate telah membenarkan tahanan riman selama 7 hari bermula pada 28 hari bulan sehingga 3 hari bulan 11.
He said police were continuing their investigation to identify the drug supplier and the cases are being investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952 and if convicted can be subjected to the mandatory death sentence. A senior citizen was killed, 4 sustained serious injuries while another suffered minor injury in an accident at kilometre 38 Sungai Tong of Jalan Kuala Terengganu, Kota Bharu. According to Setiu Police Chief Superintendent Afandi Hussein, the accident involving 4 vehicles happened around 7:42 a.m. today. Superintendent Afandi Hussein said the deceased, Abdullah Zuleb Kipli Juso, 61 years old from Felda, Belara, Kuala Terengganu, was the driver of one of the vehicles. The 4 critically injured victims included the driver of another car, Sharifah Fauzia Zani, her husband Muhammad Muslim, their daughter Nur-In Shira Husna and 13-year-old Muhammad Hasifuddin Zuleb Kipli from Felda Pemanis, Segamat, Johor. The driver of the 3rd vehicle, Muhammad Al-Ghaffar from Felda Chalot Setiu, only suffered minor injuries. Meanwhile, the driver and passenger of a BMW car fled the scene following the incident. Superintendent Afandi said the deceased and all the victims were later brought to Setiu Hospital for treatment. Coming up, quick action prevents 4 water pollution incidents in Selangor. 4 incidents which could potentially cause water pollution were detected in Selangor over the past week but were addressed immediately. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari said the latest incident took place yesterday in which an oil spill was detected in a river in Kampung Baru, Balakong. Datuk Seri Amiruddin said investigation by the authority found that it did not come from any factory or workshop around the area. He then said 3 days ago the authority detected the same type of pollution in Sungai Kundang, Rawang.
Saya bimbang ia adalah tindakan-tindakan yang disengajakan, namun saya tak ada bukti dan tak berani nak katakan begitu. Cuma alhamdulillah dalam tempoh 3-4 hari ini sebenarnya kita dah berjaya menghalang potensi quote-unquote cubaan untuk mencemarkan sungai dengan menggunakan tenaga sumber manusia yang sedia ada dan usaha-usaha yang telah kita umumkan baru-baru ini.
The Menteri Besar said the Selangor state government had recently increased the number of enforcement officers and personnel to monitor river basins to avoid contamination from recurring. Yesterday, Lembaga Urus Air Selangor, Luas, in a statement said it received a complaint from members of the public on a pollution incident in Kampung Baru, Balakong, and the investigation found that it was caused by used engine oil being dumped at the location. Luas had placed oil pads and oil booms at the scene to prevent the oil from flowing into the rivers. Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA, anticipates that foreign investors will continue to leverage Malaysia to expand their footprint despite the challenges and uncertainty in the global economy due to the COVID-19 pandemic. MIDA Chairman Dato' Abdul Majid Ahmad Khan said the pandemic had also revealed the need for companies to review their supply chain networks from being too dependent on one particular country. He added Malaysia's sturdy and reliable local supply chain network will smooth the transition of global companies to set up their operation. Currently, Malaysia is staying true to the ecosystem approach to offer long-term and sustainable growth prospects for investors to remain and grow in Malaysia. Since March this year, MIDA has launched several innovative and aggressive investment promotion activities to engage with potential investors. Dato' Abdul Majid said to date, MIDA has a pipeline of investment project worth 54 billion ringgit, and this is expected to increase further as the economy returns to normal. For the first 6 months of 2020, Malaysia had recorded a total of 64.8 billion ringgit worth of investments in multiple sectors. These investments involve 1,725 projects and is expected to create 37,110 job opportunities. The Kelantan government has approved an immediate allocation of 2.5 million ringgit to help potential women entrepreneurs to increase products manufacturing by end of the year. State Agriculture Committee Chairman Tuan Muhammad Saripudin Tuan Ismail said the aid was in the form of equipment such as mixers, stoves and refrigerators. Tuan Muhammad Saripudin, who is also soliciting state assemblymen, said the relevant application form for the assistance program was being distributed through state constituencies coordinators. He said relevant agencies will go down to the field to evaluate those who are eligible to receive the assistance, while those who are selected will be required to follow the specified course. Meanwhile, the Agriculture and Food Industries Ministry has allocated 100,000 ringgit for participants under the State Pharma Rezeki Tani program this year. Tuan Muhammad Saripudin said these allocations were being distributed to 10 recipients from B40 Group in Machang and Pasir Puteh.
Dengan bantuan-bantuan ini, mereka bukan hanya boleh membuat jualan-jualan biasa, tapi boleh membuat simpanan sebagai untuk jualan yang semasa ini ramai musim PKP ini yang membuat sistem COD, mana pesanan, hingga dengan cara ini insya-Allah para peserta dapat meningkatkan ekonomi mereka.
Tuan Muhammad Saripudin was met after presenting the Rezeki Tani aid to Muhammad Jeffrey Setapa and his wife Rohani Daud at Cherang Tuli Padang Pak Ahmad in Pasir Puteh. In our foreign segment, Sony boosts PlayStation profits despite looming PS5 launch. At 10, our top story, Agong advises MPs to fully support 2021 budget. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, I'm Brendan Lepol. Thanks for watching.